Keith, we're doing the segment to preview Man Central playing Bishop McDevitt in the district finals. It should be a big clash. Number 1, McDevitt versus number 2, Central. And our videographer here, Dustin, just said it's the matchup everyone wants to see. No, it's not. It looks like Central's missing a quarterback and a receiver possibly here. I wanted to see them in full strength and take on a McDevitt team, which I think they could have beat. What are your thoughts with this?
Well, yeah, I still think it's going to be a good game. It's still going to be a good matchup. Yeah, you would.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it is a little disappointing that Central got banged up, a week before.
Yeah.
They get to the championship game. First let's talk about the injuries.
Yes.
Central beats Cocalico 42-20 last week. They were dominating the first half. They scored on 5 of their 6 first half possessions, and the one they didn't score on, just the clock ran out at halftime. they were driving again. But late in the second quarter, Central's in the Cocalico red zone on back-to-back plays. Mm-hmm. Central loses its leading receiver, Dan Wiederecht. He went up for a fade pass in the back corner of the end zone, landed on his lower back, left the game, went back to the locker room in a cart, and showed up in the second half on crutches. One play later, Colin Fry, their starting quarterback, calls his own number on an option, hit the ground awkwardly on his throwing arm, suffered an apparent shoulder injury. So their status is in doubt for Friday night. Wiederecht, there seems to be a little more optimism that he'll make it back. Fry is looking doubtful. You don't want to be going into a game of this caliber without your starting quarterback. However, having said that, Manheim Central's backup quarterback, Tony Staffieri, he's seen a pretty significant amount of playing time with the ones this year. Early in the season, Mike Williams, the Central's coach, was so enamored with Staffieri that he would actually put him in for maybe a series or 2 every week, at least to get some time with the starters. And then, of course, late in the season when Central was just steamrolling everybody, he saw a lot more playing time, albeit with most of the reserves. But he's not a complete newbie when it comes to playing at this level. And he's a decent quarterback. He's obviously more tested with just running the option and running their ground game. But he has 218 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. He's only thrown 13 passes all year. That's
what I'm worried about.
The question's going to be. But he's completed 8 of 13, 123 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's been effective when he was called on to throw the ball. But it's going to be a big question. What's he going to be able to do? How's he going to be able to hold up against this McDevitt defense if it is him that's in there?
You make a good point. First game of the year, they played Warwick, and they played both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it was sort of an odd thing. Remember, we talked about that. Why were they playing both quarterbacks?
Right,
so he has some experience. And a lot of blowout games this year, too, where he's been in on.
And when I talked to Coach Williams before that Warwick game, he said, in the summer, both guys, in terms of the work they did in the offseason and everything, they were about even. And it seemed odd because, Fry was a 2,000-yard passer as a junior, and, he's had a real good season this year, although he hasn't been asked to throw the ball as much. Really, when you're running the ball like Central is this year, it might not really matter all that much who's a quarterback. I mean, you want to be able to throw the ball enough to keep McDevitt honest. But, Central has Mark Royer, who has 2,000 yards now this season, 24 touchdowns. Ian Hanselman has 1,100 yards and 20 touchdowns. They're really going to be the guys. If Central can't get them going, it's probably not going to matter who's their quarterback.
Some of the keys. Well, tell me about McDevitt a little bit. What should people be looking for?
Well, McDevitt, they're very similar to Manheim Central in terms of statistics and in the way that they approach the game. They, like Central, have a very good duo in the backfield. They have Andre Robinson is a junior. He has 1,800 rushing yards and 24 touchdowns and is basically being recruited by everybody on the Eastern Seaboard, from what I can tell.
Penn State's one of them.
He was up at the Penn State game last weekend. I believe they have offered him Syracuse, Northwestern, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia Tech. Evidently, he has lots of suitors, and he's only a junior. He's really their dynamic guy. But they have a reliable change of pace guy in Rashad Lawson, a senior. He has 996 yards and 17 scores. So much like Manheim Central, they can move the ball on the ground. They're very explosive. I think the difference is they also have a more developed passing game. Nick Marsilio is a first-year starter at quarterback, but he has 2,000 passing yards and 26 touchdowns already. So, I think McDevitt has probably the more explosive playmakers. So for Central, the key is going to be much like they did against Cocalico last week. drive that ball, be methodical. Central's first 2 touchdown drives were just long, methodical drives, not a lot of big plays, but they moved the chains and they scored. And that's what Central's going to have to do this time. I think they're going to want to try to keep McDevitt's explosive offense over there on the sidelines where they can't hurt him and just chew up as much clock as they can. They're going to have to get that ground game going. If they can't move the ball and they have to rely on the passing game, they're going to be in trouble no matter who it is at quarterback, whether it's Fry or Staffieri.
So the game you think comes down to line of scrimmage here.
Yeah. And the other key I think is going to be how Central's defense is going to hold up. Central actually has better defensive statistics. McDevitt, they're in a power conference. Interesting note about them. 7 of their 10 regular season opponents made the District 3 playoffs.
Wow.
And 2 of them are playing in the Quad A final on Saturday, Lower Dauphin and Cumberland Valley. McDevitt beat both of them. The only team to beat them was Cedar Cliff, another Quad A team. That was a 49-41 shootout kind of game. So, strength of schedule, definitely the advantage goes to McDevitt there. And I'm sure most of the people around the Harrisburg area are going to point to that, whether Central's at full strength or not. McDevitt, they feel, is going to be the more bona fide team. And, we're going to see. We'll see how it works out.
Will the Barons be spreading some Manheim magic? Do you predict a win here? Who's going to win this game?
All year long, I've been telling anybody who would listen to me that I thought Central could beat McDevitt. And now, of course, we have this X factor with the injuries coming up. If Central were at full strength, I would unequivocally pick them. They're not. And I think that's just enough of an X factor. I mean, I'm tempted to pick the upset anyway, just because, that's kind of how I roll. I can't do it, though. There's too much uncertainty here. I think it's still going to be a great game. I just think McDevitt, even though they are a little bit banged up defensively, they have more certainties coming into this game than Manheim Central does. We don't know how Staffieri is going to react at quarterback if it is indeed him that's playing. We don't know how healthy Wiederecht is going to be. Central also has some issues in the secondary with players being banged up or out. So they just have more question marks coming into this one. If they were at full strength, I would be all over them. They're not, so I'm going to have to lean McDevitt's way.